Hong Kong is in the midst of an uncompromising standoff between increasingly defiant pro-democracy protesters and equally determined government forces backed by Beijing.
We will do it again and again until the government will break down.
The root of the current conflict dates back to 1997 when China agreed to allow Hong Kong a semi-autonomous government for at least 50 years after it took back control of the former British colony. The one country, two systems model allows popular elections for about half the legislature, but other seats are selected by elites with business interests in China, and Beijing appoints the Hong Kong chief executive. More recently, in 2014, the Umbrella Revolution demonstrations shut down business districts in the city for months over growing concerns that China under President Xi Jinping is seeking to undermine the independence and civil liberties in Hong Kong. This year in March, protests again erupted over a proposed extradition bill that critics said would erode the independent judiciary of Hong Kong and subject critics of mainland China to increased risk of arrest. In August, concerns mounted that Beijing would intervene after Chinese riot police conducted exercises in nearby Shenzhen. But so far, the military has stayed on the sidelines. Protesters have employed increasingly disruptive and destructive tactics, vandalizing businesses and the city's subway system, and engaging in clashes with police. The Hong Kong government abandoned the extradition bill, but the protesters since added demands for direct popular elections. Pro-Beijing hardliners say the democracy movement's goal is to win independence from China.
One could interpret the continued protests as reflecting that goal. I don't, but I can see how Beijing would.
Police have used increasing force to quell the protests, employing water cannons, rubber bullets, and tear gas. During massive protests held to spoil China's Communist Party anniversary, a police officer for the first time shot a protester with lethal ammunition. Hong Kong leaders have increasingly focused on the radical elements in the protest movement as a threat to public safety and recently banned protesters from wearing masks in public.
We are particularly concerned that many students are participating in these violent protests or even riots, jeopardizing their safety and even their future.
Protesters have vowed to continue their struggle for democracy while the Hong Kong leadership promises further emergency measures if public order is not soon restored. Brian Padden, VOA News, Hong Kong.